Well, the time has moved on to 6:46, and we have on the line now the Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Mr. Vishen Prasad. Today being nomination day for the June 12 local government elections, we just want to touch base with Mr. Prasad to find out what's happening today and what are your preparations like. Good morning, Mr. Prasad, and welcome.
Good morning, Dennis, and good morning to your listeners.
So, what exactly is going to be happening today, and how prepared are you?
All right, Dennis. So I'll take your second question first. In terms of preparation, we have been satisfactorily prepared up to last night before going to bed. I was following up with my returning officers on the ground. Everything is in place as far as we're concerned. I can go as far as to tell you that in the case of the returning officer for the municipality of Georgetown, at about 5 o'clock this morning, my GCOM's returning officer was already in place. I am aware that the Deputy Chief Election Officer is also there to give him the support. And based on a report I received a few minutes ago from our Chief Security Officer, everything is in place and we see no reason that it will not remain so as the day progresses.
Tell us, for the benefit of our listeners who might be a bit hazy or would like a refresher on what is expected at the nominations day today.
All right. So today the time set, and that has been set by that time being gazetted, for the submission of lists of candidates by political parties, voluntary groups, and or independent candidates to contest the elections. The period for that is from 10 o'clock this morning, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The representatives of the political parties, and if there are voluntary groups who are desirous of contesting the elections, they will be allowed to enter and submit their list to the returning officer in an orderly manner. We have engaged the support of the police to be there at all our offices. There are 80 offices of the returning officers across the country. Having submitted their lists, it would now be the responsibility of the returning officer to check the list for accuracy insofar as the qualification of the candidates are concerned, including the accuracy of the particulars of supporters, or what we call backers, who support the candidacy of the persons on those lists. We have in place, we have set up a structure in which we have a program that will help us to ascertain the accuracy of the required information. We have staff on the ground. Well, they're not there yet, but we will have staff on the ground as of 10 o'clock to assist the returning officer with this technical part of the work, after which the lists go forward. Our checks would determine whether any list is defective. If we find the list is defective, and defective could mean the list does not have the required number of signatories to support it, or we may have a candidate that is listed on the list for constituency but doesn't belong to that constituency. These are types of defects. Once we identify these defects, we have an obligation to inform the representative of the list, and then there is a statutory window for the representative to fix that defect, to correct the defect. And going forward, once all the defects are corrected, then the lists will be accepted, which then takes us to the production of ballot papers right down to election day.
And when do you hope that you can fix any possible defects, and then say to your colleagues at the commission, that's the full commission, that it's now time to go ahead and have the ballots printed? Is there a particular timeline?
Yes, Dennis, but it's not fixed in stone, because the law prescribes a date no later than by when parties can fix their
defects.
Their defects, yes. And I'm trying. I have my work plan in front of me. Let me see if I can pin that date for you. Give me a second, please.
Sure. Well, just a reminder, we're talking with the Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Mr. Vishnu Prasad, about preparations for nomination day today for the June 12 local government elections, for the 70 neighborhood councils and the 10 town councils. And, of course, the town councils include the capital city, Georgetown. Even as Mr. Prasad looks at his work plan to give us a more specific date and a countdown towards polling day.
All right. So I'm back with you, Dennis.
Yes.
We have up to the 20th of this month to inform parties of defects. I can assure you that we will not take beyond tomorrow to identify any such defects, and then the parties have statutory. They will have a few days to fix those defects. From our end, we have a responsibility to be facilitative, to give the parties the opportunity. Well, not necessarily to give them the opportunity. It's the law prescribes that they be allowed to contest, but we have a responsibility to be accommodative as far as we can stretch it towards ensuring that they can have their lists corrected. The idea being that we must not impose any conditions that can be seen as being prohibitive insofar as contesting the elections is concerned.
Well, prior to today, Mr. Prasad, you had a timeline for the submission of symbols. Do I take it that all of the major parties in Guyana have indeed submitted symbols to contest the elections?
Well, yes, the major parties, well, I wouldn't say the major, but the APNU and the PPP in this case, as if you refer to them as the major parties, yes, they have submitted symbols.
For all of the 80 local authority areas?
Well, it doesn't work that way, Dennis. We have received application for approval of symbols. They are, having been approved, they are allowed to use that symbols across the country. We will only know that
today
when we receive the lists. That if they submit across the country, then they will be allowed to use that symbol. Bearing in mind that there is a legal requirement that the representative of the list for each local authority area, notwithstanding the list would have been pre-approved, they are required to apply to the returning officer for the allocation of the pre-approved symbol. That's a requirement.
I see. And looking down the line, how confident are you that the local government elections will be run off smoothly, based on your work plan and all that you're seeing on the ground there?
Well, I speaking from the position of Chief Election Officer, Dennis, we, up to today, we have been running smoothly. We are on par. As I speak to you, I am not aware of any kinks in the system even now. That is not to say something cannot emerge. In elections management, as you may know, Dennis, things always pop up out of nowhere. But I am confident that my staff, the returning officers, and their support staff has been adequately trained. We are always in touch with them to ensure that whatever query they may have is satisfactorily responded to. So against that background, I am pretty confident that our staff are fully prepared to undertake the responsibilities required of them, and even to deal with incidents as they may emerge.
Okay, I know that there is always that hot button issue that political parties tend to weigh in on during election time, and that is the possibility of the voters list being padded with the names of immigrants and dead persons. What assurance can you give today that the voters list is good to go?
I'm going to respond to that in a general way, Dennis. That is to say that every single person registered in the National Register of Registrants are considered to be a bona fide registrant because they would have, in the first instance, met the requirements to be registered therein. And because of that, I would not refer to that list as being bloated, because and I'm using that word because that's the term that is being that has been used in the public domain. I wouldn't say padded because padded carried connotation of people being in there who do not deserve to be there or who do not meet the requirement to be there. Against those comments, though, Dennis, what I can assure is that based on my knowledge, understanding, and experience in elections management, we have a regime of measures at each polling station to ensure that no one is allowed to vote more than once, nor is anyone allowed or will be allowed to vote for anyone else.
Okay. Well, there you had it, an assurance by the Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Mr. Vishal Prasad, talking primarily about preparations for local government elections nomination day today, ahead of the June 12 local government elections. But we did step over there and we sought to discuss that always thorny issue around any election about voter impersonation and padded voters list. And Mr. Prasad has sought to give us an assurance that there are safeguards on election day. Again, Mr. Prasad, thank you very much for joining us, and do have a good day.
Thank you very much, Dennis, and you and